we're good there. I want to thank all of you for welcoming me so warmly over the past couple weeks. It's really been a wonderful whirlwind of an adventure so far, and we've just begun, so better get ready. And I think also I'm doing a pretty decent job of putting names to faces, so I'm kind of patting myself on the back for that as well. However, for some of those of you who have not been wearing your name tags, it's okay, I can forgive you. So today we're giving out some of our young people Bibles. It's a pretty exciting moment in their life, and maybe them, like me, will have a favorite Bible story eventually. Well, in the Old Testament reading for today, we heard Joseph. And Joseph is one of my absolute favorite Bible stories. And so in part, it's my favorite because when I was little, my sister, who was in high school, did the musical Joseph. And I got this cassette tape with all the songs on it, and I would listen to it over and over and over and over again. And I'm pretty sure by now I have them all memorized, but don't worry, I'm not going to sing them for you today. We'll save that for another time. But I still love this story now, and I love it now because it's such a deep and rich story. The characters grow and they change over it. They're challenged, and like you and like me, they're imperfect characters. So we start off with Jacob, the patriarch of the family, the father figure. And as the parent, he commits the #1 cardinal sin of parenting. He has a favorite child. Now, my own mother tries to avoid this between me and my sister, so there's no Technicolor coat issues. She calls both of us her only children, but we really know who the favorite child is. But it's such a great story. And so we've got the favorite child, Joseph. And Joseph has been given this wonderful gift of this beautiful Technicolor coat. In historical fact, it probably wasn't Technicolor, but I still like to think of it that way. And what he does with this coat is not so great. So he kind of flaunts it in front of his brothers. He's kind of full of pride and he's kind of arrogant. And their feelings get hurt because nobody wants to feel like they aren't a beloved child. And not only this, but Joseph has this other great gift. He can dream these really wonderful dreams. And so with this dream that he has near the beginning of our story, he goes to his brothers and he says, "Hey, guess what? I had this really great dream. All of you who are older than me are going to bow down to me, the younger brother." So his brothers are like, "Joseph, come on, we're not going to bow down to you." And they're annoyed with him. Joseph is kind of being a pain, so we can't really blame them that they're a little mad at him. He's being full of pride and he's kind of being arrogant towards them. However, this doesn't really excuse what the brothers do. See, they plot against Joseph. They plan to murder him, but they just decide they'll leave him in this pit. They strip him of his cloak and they put animal blood on it, and they tell their father Jacob that Joseph has been killed by an animal. They leave him for dead. They sin against him and they sin against God. And all of these characters are merely human. They're imperfect, they're sinful, they make mistakes. They're just like myself. However, it is still a Bible story, and God is still there, and God is still working through them somehow, despite their imperfections. Through the terrible pain of pride and brokenness, murder and suffering, somehow God creates a miracle moment. Somehow God creates good. And we witness this moment at the end of the story, when Joseph and his brothers are reunited. They come together, and Joseph even says to them, "Even though you intended to do me harm, God intended it for good." And this forgiveness moment is not easy. After we know all the pain and suffering they have been through, Joseph in the pit, Joseph in jail, Joseph in a land that he doesn't belong to, all this baggage, the moment of forgiveness is hard. It's hard for Joseph, and it's also hard for his brothers because they're afraid. I think many of us have these moments when we feel like we've been hurt or when we hurt someone else. It's scary to put ourselves out there, to go to someone and to ask for forgiveness, or to have to tell someone, hey, I'm sorry, what I did hurt you. And it's scary because we have to put ourselves out there and we risk disappointment at times. And so it's not easy. It's not easy for Joseph's brothers, and it's not easy for Joseph. Yet, when the story ends for today, it still happens. God shows up and he's there working through them. We get to see this moment of forgiveness. And it's not Joseph alone, and it's not his brothers alone. It's also because Jacob loved all of them. And it's because God loved all of them that they are able to forgive. And in this moment where there once was malice, where there once was violence, there's this new foundation of hope for his brothers. Joseph cries and he weeps because the pain of separation was awful. It was terrible. And this moment of reconciliation must feel like a great weight has been lifted off of him. And not only is there the, yes, you are my brother and I forgive you, but there's also this moment when Joseph says to them, I promise to provide for you. I will use the power that I have gained in Egypt to feed you and clothe you and to take care of your families. So when I hear this story, I am really amazed. I'm amazed that a man who once was prideful and arrogant is now been humbled, and through God's miraculous power is able to create peace, reconciliation, love, and abundance. And indeed, this act of violence in this story can seem like our own lives. Perhaps there's moments in your own family or in your church community where you feel like you've been torn apart, where you feel like there are moments that you can't reconcile. And there will be moments where we will fail. We will fail to say, I forgive you, and we will fail to say, I'm sorry. And sometimes those dark moments can feel like we're in the pit or that we're in jail. And sometimes we hear the narrator behind us saying, poor, poor Joseph, what you gonna do? Things look bad for you, Joe. What you gonna do? But in that moment, God is still there. God is still working through Joseph and through his brothers. He has not abandoned any of them. And on this, and because of this, we know who God is. We know that we have an example of love and forgiveness. We have a God whose cloak has also been stripped from him. A God who has been brought low on the cross, who suffers and who understands our own suffering. We have a God who asks that these people not be forgiven once or twice or 7 times or even 77 times, but a God who forgives an infinite amount of times. And we have a God who cloaks us in that beautiful grace and righteousness. A God who out of suffering and violence creates a new foundation of hope and love. A love that is unconditional and that nourishes us every day. Amen.